p.m. Central Standard Time. Join me for my talk show, The Outlander, where I answer your emails, take your calls, and interview some intriguing guests. Just go to irnchat.com to chat and interact and listen live to The Outlander Show, or go to inceptionradionetwork.com. Blasting off with some UFO reports, because we've got a lot of them to get to. UFO sighting in Wyoming. This occurred January 18th, 2017. In brief, the witness states, I was just taking pictures from the truck window heading west on I-80 in Wyoming. In more detail, they go on, I was on the road with my husband who drives an 18-wheeler. We were traveling at a speed of 65 miles per hour. It was a cold, crisp, clear day. Being from southern Texas, you don't see snow a lot, so I was so focused on getting photos of the snow. I didn't even see the object until just the other day when I was going through them to post to Facebook. A friend of mine posted a comment about there being a cross in the sky in one of them. I looked at the photo and zoomed in on it, and it's not a cross, and we were nowhere near a wind farm. It is cylindrical, with what looks like something on both ends. So I started looking at the other photos of that day and found another one, only this one isn't as clear as the first. But it still looks elongated. I have seen UFOs once before when I was 14 years old living in McAlester, Oklahoma, but at night. The whole neighborhood saw them. But in this case that I'm submitting to you now, I had no idea what I caught on camera. The spell check is a miraculous thing, people. I'm just saying, oh my goodness. My goodness. Yeah, let's try practicing our English stuff. I mean, KNOW for just NO. I mean, wow. Wow, if we don't know the difference. Oh, I really love these UFO reports, and I love that people take the time for it. And I know I say this time and time again, but the more that you can express yourself more clearly than us people who are reading these reports, anybody reading these reports, the more we can understand, the more we actually learn. But not if we're guessing on what you're trying to say. And I don't edit this. I just try to just fiddle along. That's why I trip over words sometimes, because I'm just, what did they put there? Okay, I'm making it up as I go along. They're making up where they're lacking in their words. All right, moving on. I have to vent sometimes. Next one, UFO sighting in Kissimmee, Florida. This occurred March 31st, 2017. In brief, the witness states observed a tic-tak like orbish white light moving on eastern horizon from northeast to southeast, observed from front yard of my house. UFO reports were generated en route 192 the same night. In more detail, they state, while sitting on our front yard this past spring, I noticed a tic-tac shaped white light moving from northeast to southeast, very bright, and moving in a straight line. It faded out for a few seconds, then back on a few seconds, and then faded out at the southeast horizon. The same night, there were UFOs reported on Route 192 in Kissimmee, Florida. The object was not moving very fast, as it took about 2 minutes to cross our line of sight. We have a lot of air traffic in our area, as Kissimmee Airport is nearby, as is Orlando Airport. Never observed anything like this light. Felt it was a UFO about 8 p.m. in the evening. The next UFO report is a UFO blast from the past. UFO sighting in Chicago Heights, Illinois. This occurred July 16, 2009. And in brief, the witness states brown, 1/3 cigar-sized crafts going in and out of giant cloud cover the front, look like a man's face, and there were several going in and out of what would be the mouth. Huh? That is wacky. Okay. In more detail, the witness states the weather was starting to change with large puffy clouds. I went to my car to get my camera. I noticed the front of these clouds looked like a face of a man, and these objects were going in and out what would be the mouth, fast and looping around quickly to enter and exit. Well, maybe these UFOs were being a little artsy and playing with the clouds. There were other craft flying in and out of the cloud cover as well. I say craft now because at first I was confused about what they were. I knew they were too large to be birds that far away, and nothing I had ever seen maneuvered like them. I uploaded them to my computer to see what they really were. I had used my telescopic lens, but these pictures were the best I could come up with. I shared them on the net with friends with my Apple computer. Crashed. Okay. I was unable to get the raw pics back, but I had saved some copies on another drive when I enlarged them and tried to use contrast to see them better. I contacted my friend, who was an Army Ranger, who was there with me, and he said 2009 would have been correct. The earliest files I found were Thursday, July 16, 2009, when my Apple crashed. The pictures I shared on the internet were gone as well. Good thing I have these saved. I just felt they were part of our crafts showing off, but I would like to know what you all think of them. Okay. The next UFO sighting is Nazca Ica, or Ica? ICA. Okay. This occurred January 14th, 2018. Many star-like objects during the 7.1 earthquake. On January 14th, 2018, this happened during the 7.1 magnitude earthquake that rocked north of Aquipa in the sea near Nazca. People woke up and rushed outside of their homes. From several places of Nazca, especially those not near the city, people could witness dozens, nobody could count, star-like objects going down from above, looking southeast to the sea. In other places near the sea, they could not see because the sky is cloudy, but Nazca has clear skies. It was funny to hear some religious people saying that it was written in the Bible, the stars will fall. Oh, I can't say how many people saw this, but in the city, people are still talking about it. Isn't that something how these UFOs show up around cataclysmic events? And fireworks, lots of fireworks, lots of fireworks. All right, the next UFO sighting happened in Wasilla, Alaska. We know who lives there, don't we? Multiple colored vehicle hovering over a neighbor's house. Appears to be a small being at front of house. Probably they were looking at Russia. Yes, Sarah Palin, we're talking about you. Uh-huh. All right, in more detail. Nighttime. Things feel a little uneasy. Noticed a small cylinder vehicle with numerous bright white lights in back of neighbor's house. Felt nervous when inside house. About an hour later, son, 39, mentions that our house was under a light. Looking out back, I noticed a fog over his house, yet the sky was cold, clear, and full of stars. About another hour passes, and out back we noticed some of the town lights appeared to brighten and begin flashing. The lights appeared to be warping some. I went to my room for a few minutes. My son had grabbed a phone and was recording a vehicle with multiple colors hovering over a neighbor's house out back. There looks to be a small being at the front of the house. The upper windows of the house seem to have some of pumping going on. Windows in the vehicle appear to have the same happening. After a short period of maybe 2 minutes, the multiple colors brighten to a highlighted orangish color that returns to multicolor. It does this 2 to 3 times. I got nervous and returned to my room. I did not see the vehicle leave. My son has had a prior experience on December 10th, 2017, to which he has video and pictures. He does not remember taking them. He has time loss, is highly nervous in a lot of ways, believes he may have been abducted. He claims to see aliens around us now. Okay, that's wild. All right, this next UFO sighting occurred in New Jersey. January 17th, 2018, reddish-orange orb stationary to drastic change in speed and direction. In more detail, the witness states, I was just driving south on Boulevard East in Weehawken, New Jersey. I was looking to the southwest part of the sky for a moment while driving and noticed an orange-reddish ball in the sky. It was stationary at first. I didn't think much of it, maybe a helicopter, since it was moving relatively slow, almost stationary. I didn't see any blinking lights, but I kept my eyes fixated on it while at the red light. What caught my eye next was a drastic change in speed and direction from being almost stationary. It dipped in the sky from west to east, as if it were on a big slide, almost like a hard bank while dropping. What looked like at least 1,000 feet, pretty dramatically. This made my heart race. I said out loud, "That's a UFO!" talking to myself like a madman. That's pretty funny. I fumbled to open my camera app, but had to continue driving and not hit the person in front of me. I quickly pulled over, keeping my eyes on it, trying to hit record on my phone, but it was too dark. What happened next was even more bizarre. It trailed slowly in a line and, reducing in speed, then disappeared with a pop, like a bubble popping. I'm not sure what I just saw, but hopefully someone here in the New York City area might have seen it too. Oh, I'm sure they have. I'm sure they have. We don't know if they got to the site to report it, but you can bet your bottom dollar somebody else seen it. The next UFO sighting is entitled Black Triangle Sighting in Hot Springs, Arkansas. This occurred July 20th, 2016. In brief, the witness states, "I seen a triangle shaped standing on end, and the craft was not moving at all, like you hung a school bus on end in the sky." Now, I got to tell you guys something. I am scanning this visually, this report, which is a big one. Would you believe there is not a period in the entire report except at the end? And it's a big report. Yeah, that's our American dollars working for our education system over here. Really? Okay. So terrible. I am sorry to blast people, but then I'm not. Punctuation, communication. We've got to get it together so we could learn. Okay, this report reads, "I just got off work at Berry Plastic." You know, if I read this in one breath, you guys would all be exhausted. And as I was going through the gate, something caught my eye in the sky. I thought at first it was a helicopter because there is an airport maybe 10 miles away. But when I looked, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was a rectangle-shaped object standing on end, not moving at all, and the whole thing was wrapped in chrome panels. No windows, no lights, no markings, no engine, no sound. Just hanging there. It looked about the size of a school bus standing on end, hanging maybe 1,000 feet or so. I was so shocked and amazed by it. It took me a few seconds. I need to get my phone out and get it on video. And as I was driving, there was 100 people leaving work behind me, so I was going to video it once I got off the road where everyone was coming out of work, maybe 10 seconds. And I had my phone out and turned on, so when I got out to the place to pull over, it was gone. I look around the sky in every direction, nothing in just 5 to 10 seconds. There was no way anything could be gone that fast. I was mad at myself for not getting it on video. It was just so amazing to get to see it. I have watched shows on UFOs and I have never seen anything like it. But the next day, I was at a friend's house that works there with me, and he was in front of me leaving work, and I asked him if he's seen the same thing I'd seen, but he said he didn't see anything. I told him, "How could you not see it? The sun was shining off the front of it and everything," and he laughed at me. So I told him, "Just wait when we go back to work on Monday." I would be shocked if everyone isn't talking about it, and I told him I won't say a word about it, and we see on Monday. When it came, I go to work, I was ready to tell him, "I told you, it's real," but to my amusement, not one person said anything about it and didn't say anything. There should have been hundreds of witnesses, but that's not all. About 2 months later, I was leaving work. I turned on the road Okay, that I was going to pull over on to get the video, and I see a super bright light right above the gas station in front of me, and it was so bright you couldn't even look at it too much because, oh my gosh, this is a giant run-on sentence, people. It was like going to look at the sun, and I was moving away from moving west, and it was the same way I was going to get home. I couldn't see it again because of the trees till I got closer to home, and by then it had moved over my house and was traveling west, but was several miles away. Then it stopped and moved up and down. Me and my sister watched it for about 30 minutes. And I did get pictures of it, but it was night, and my cheap phone, it just looked like a blob of light, no details, but I grabbed my binoculars so I could see it better, and it was really weird. It was a triangle shape, and the whole thing was covered in orange and red flames. So in 2 months, I got to see two UFOs, and not the same thing, but two different types of UFOs. What are the odds of this happening? I'm sorry it has taken so long to report this. I have been on here 3 times, but I just couldn't do it, and everyone I have told just laughed it off. But it has really changed me. I look at things in a totally different way now, and I think about it almost every time I go outside. We are differently, not alone, but if would like to talk to me, okay, about it, contact me. I'm not a good writer, so I can give you more details about it. Oh, really? That's so terrible. Oh, okay. I have to tell you guys something. You know, there is such an influx of UFOs being spotted while alien abduction like stuff is going down. Sightings up, aliens down. Up, down. Up, down, down, up. Okay, so think about it. If our government is able to create these crafts now, because there's been a ton of them that are crashed. There's enough people talking about reverse engineer, and the secret space program is no longer a secret, okay? So our people have figured out how to get up and move about and do different things and all this stuff, and they've got us pretty cool cloaking system that, it's just like, the stealth fighter. We know it's invisible to radar, and we've got things that are way, way more advanced. So apparently, if you are looking at these craft at a certain angle, you can't quite see them as well. So a person standing next to you, their eyeballs just may not be refracting just right to spot these things. So that one person just happened to be in the right spot to see it and go, holy smokes, I see a UFO. So we're getting these reports, and how quickly they move away because their line of vision moved, or they moved, and it just, bloop, just went out of view. You have to keep in the moment and without causing a car accident. But it's like, okay, so if we have this knowledge now and we're patrolling the skies and we're able to keep maybe some of these rotten, low down, good for nothing abducting aliens away, that might reduce the amount of alien contacts and abduction going on. What do you think? I think that's a possibility. I really do. And I don't think it's a mistake. I think that there's something that is going on. And I am, our government, the things that they do. The stories I could tell of people I've bumped into randomly, people that I've known for a while, and especially ex-military. I mean, they're your brothers, your sisters, and your friends, and they're like, whoa, you have no idea what is going on. Okay, well, now we do, because enough people have told. And I think they're getting us ready to realize they have their hands on some technology, and it's changing our future. It's changing the present. Keeping it a freaking secret makes no sense. None. None. We're not the only country going out there. Come on, Russia and China, they're all busy out there too, going to outer space. Their secret space program isn't so secret either. So, what's the dealio? We take turns going? I know. That's okay. It's okay. Oh, it's their turn now. That's fine. Let them. It's like, why can't we know? I think they are preparing us to get to know what's going on. And so more and more people are getting a really good look at these different craft and what our boys are flying out there. Yeah, I think it's our boys doing a lot of it. Too many times. Way too many times. All right, I'm going to read one more, and then we're going to get on to some other things. UFO sighting in Texas. A UFO blast from the past. This occurred July 4th, 2005. Looking out window, three identical craft raised from ground each. From ground each, smaller than the other, then disappeared at certain height. People, man. It was the 4th of July. I was watching fireworks. See, I told you fireworks. In the far distance. All of a sudden, in my near view, I observed a metallic object. Kind of triangular shaped, but with rounded points. No lights, but the metallic color shone bright. It had a dark center strip from the corner or point of craft to the other end. It just materialized out of nowhere. And then two more identical objects followed behind it. It elevated quickly to a certain height, then disappeared, and each craft that followed did the same thing. It reached the same height as the first craft. My heart raced when I saw it, and I doubted my vision for a long time. But I realized that there was no reason for me to hallucinate that particular vision, or imagine it as opposed to any other vision. Thank you! I'm convinced of what I saw and would stake my life on it. What you believe I saw was an interdimensional craft coming in and out of our realm? Okay, I think they're posing a question. Yeah, there's a lot of things that are going on out there. Tons of things. All right, moving on to a paranormal point, because you know I love to talk about the paranormal as well, and we cover it all here. This article was submitted by someone, and for this certain website called Darkness Prevails, dark.org. And it's called Creature Shot by My Grandmother. Ooh-wee, all right. This story reads, hello, first of all, I'm sorry in advance for any spelling errors in a grammar and punctuation marks and overall mistakes. I wish reports for UFOs were like that. I really hope I can one day hear the story on a channel, not to seek attention or anything of that sort. With that said, thank you and feel free to do what you want with this story. Okay, we're reading on. Cut and delete, take away phrases, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, all right, moving on. Writing and my grandmother telling it again. Thank you, always darkness. Okay, the reason behind the story is to share what my grandmother, Refugio, encountered and fought in the mountains of Guanajuato, Mexico, because I feel a duty in me now that has passed away to tell you what my old man told all of his kids and grandkids. He wasn't a drunk or a crazy man from the mind, but, in the contrary, a respected, hard-working, well-known man that worked from sunrise to sundown. That is why, when he told my family, his friends, what he saw, nobody had a single sense of doubt that he was lying in any way or making stuff up. Okay, it is a little chopped up. I'm trying to read it as good as I can. He and my grandmother lived in the mountains of Guanajuato by themselves. They were very poor because they lived only off the land and animals they had, and animals he hunted for food, and fruit and vegetables grown by them around the household. Oh. A brief description of my grandmother. She was 6'2". That didn't weigh that much, but still intimidating. Always had a cowboy hat on. Always on the horse with a machete. Oh, hold on. Grandfather. The grandfather. His horse with a machete by his side. And a 30-30 rifle and a .45 caliber handgun tucked on his waist. And always his German shepherd named Comanche, which means commander, alongside of him. A very loyal and brave dog with scars that he got from fending off coyote and other animals. That was a bad-to-the-bone doggy. You need dogs like this and guns when you live in the middle of nowhere, with packs of wild, hungry coyotes, mountain lions, bobcats, and other wildlife. And a description of my grandfather's ranch was a lonely house up in the mountains, miles and hours from the nearest road of civilization and other towns. He had one neighbor named Antonio, who lived 5 miles down the mountain from him. Besides that, they were alone. Now on to the encounter. These are the words of my grandfather, shared by me to you. It must have been some day between the week Wednesday or Thursday. Everything was normal that day, nothing out of the ordinary, as he was putting away the cows and horses to the home made stable that consisted of just a plain square made out of wood and rocks with a long dead log across the front of the door. They always were tied up in a pasture where they ate all day long. It was dark out by the time he was done with all his normal chores. As he was getting ready for bed, he heard his dog and two others he had starting to bark and growl. He didn't care much. He said at the time he thought they were just barking at coyotes. It wasn't until later that night that my grandmother woke him up and told him that the horse was going nuts and the dogs were fighting with something at the time. They thought a mountain lion. But all of a sudden they stopped making noise. Not a single bark or growl. My grandfather listened for a little bit, thinking the dogs fended off whatever had tried and have an uneasy meal. And out of nowhere, the horse started making awful noises like he was getting killed, and he knew it. Without any second thought, my grandfather jumped out of bed and grabbed his .45 caliber handgun and went outside. It was getting light, must have been almost 4, close to morning, he said. He walked around the house of the stable, and he said he froze in fear and terror when he saw what was trying to kill his horse. All that came to him was just fear and disbelief from what he was witnessing, when all of a sudden the horse started to cry again, if that makes any sense, and it brought my grandfather back to reality. Without warning, he fired and hit it. It must have been 15 yards away. He aimed again for the body, hitting it at least 3 times. He fired all 8 bullets. The other 5 he shot randomly at the creature, and it ran. He said as soon as he hit it, the first time he saw it release the horse's neck by dropping and opening its mouth, and the claws came off the horse's shoulders. As best as I can describe it, he said, it was bigger than a dog, way bigger. Easy, 4 feet tall on all 4s, thin, but yet you could see it was so powerful the way it fought the horse. It controlled it with ease. And the head was big, almost like the horse's head, with a long mouth. Not a lot of teeth, but the few that it had were long and big, not thin, but like a cone, he said. The back legs were bigger than the front ones, but the front ones had longer claws. It looked light gray under the moon. It made a weird noise, my grandfather says. He can't describe, almost like a cry with a painful howl, like when a dog is being choked by the throat. As it darted through the trees, stumbling and breaking branches, he never heard it cross the stream that ran alongside of the house. The only explanation he could give us was that the thing cleared over the 35-something foot wide stream without splashing or touching the water. He thought that the thing had killed his dogs. When he turned to go inside, all shaken up from what just had happened, the dogs came out of the pig den. They had been hiding like they knew they couldn't win that fight, like them knowing not fighting was the only way that they could survive. My grandfather said one of the dogs had been severely hurt in the back leg, with flesh hanging down its side and bottom of his stomach. He went and got my grandmother and told her to help him put up the dogs that were hurt. The next morning, 2 dogs remained, and one of the gashes on him didn't make it, as well as the horse that died 2 days later. He went in that night thinking it was the devil he had encountered, but realized he was wrong. He told me if he had shot the devil, he wouldn't have ran. He wouldn't have cried out in pain. That was something else that night. He said, something I never imagined I would see or existed. I don't blame the dogs for hiding either. They were more brave than me, he said, fighting it physically. They bear the scars of that night, and I only have the memory of what I saw and shot. I'm lucky I scared it off and not ticked it off. If it came charging at me, I would have grabbed my .30 instead that night and aimed for that big head, he smirked. But things happen for a reason, he said. Maybe one day he'll see it again. This time he'll aim for the head and not with the handgun. Wow, absolutely. That sounds like a chupacabra to me. I don't know. There's more to the story, but I'll post it up on the site. Thank you guys for listening to UFO Headline News with me, Heidi Hollis, and be sure to check out UFOHeadlineNews.com every single day. And also tune in to The Outlander Show Fridays, and that's at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And check out my paranormal comic strip, The Outlanders, at theoutlanderscomic.com. Direct links could be found on HeidiHollis.com or InceptionRadioNetwork.com.